Initially, the Igbos did not see themselves as one. The historical fact that a lot of people don't know. There was nothing like the Igbo nation in that sense that it is now. Now, the Igbo nation used to have about 30, currently we have like 38 different dialects. But then I think the whites grouped it around 20 or thereabout, the dialect. And those dialects saw themselves as distinct tribes.
This is the stereotypes.
A lot of the comment I get, it brings me to the conclusion that a lot of us don't even understand how the Igbo nation and the Yoruba nation were actually formed. And I want to dedicate this video to that. If you're passionate about knowing about the Igbo nation, about the Yoruba nation, I want you to actually watch this video to the end. It's going to be a short video. Now, how was the Igbo nation formed? Initially, the Igbos did not see themselves as one. The historical fact that a lot of people don't know. There was nothing like the Igbo nation in that sense that it is now. Now, the Igbo nation used to have about 30, currently we have like 38 different dialects. But then I think the whites grouped it around 20 or thereabout, the dialect. And those dialects saw themselves as distinct tribes. I know you'll be surprised to hear that. The same thing with the Yorubas also. They had about 12 kingdoms, which saw themselves as distinct kingdom with distinct tribe. Although they interacted with each other, they had similarity in terms of their interaction, in terms of the language they speak, and the names they bear. But they saw themselves as a distinct people. Now, if you come to Enugu, you had like the Nsukka, the Udi, the Nkano, the Anambra, the Agwata, the Onitsha. If you go to Imo, you have the Ikwerre. If you go to Abia, you have the Ngwa, the Aro people, and so many other ones. If you come to Abakaleke, you have the Za. You have the Ebonyi State, you have the Za. You have the Abakaleke people, and so many other ones. There are around 30 of them, and then there are about like 8 or thereabout outside the current southeast now, which is the Banke in Delta State, the Anioma, and the Ikwerre guys in River State, and some other people in Cross River. So there were a lot of these dialects. Now, the Igbo nation was not actually the version of Igbos themselves. It was actually the idea of the white missionaries, who in their quest to actually produce materials for propagating the gospel, the Christian gospel that time, they felt that it became very cumbersome for them to have more than 500, because there were a lot of languages in Nigeria. And then they were looking for ways to harmonize a lot of these languages, and they had a breakthrough, especially in South, that is in the Southwest and in the Southeast, where they find out that, oh, this thing were not actually a distinct language, but a variation of like a more modern language. And now that's how they organized, they call it Igbo Unification. And Igbo Unification took place. It was actually, the originators of those ideas were actually white people. And then that's how, now, the interesting thing is that the Igbos did not actually like the unification. Even Chinua Achebe, when they were trying to unify the language, Chinua Achebe and Chukwuma Izonyi and all those, Professor Chukwuma Izonyi, Blessed Memory, and Achebe, they opposed it. They were opposed to having one central Igbo. A lot of scholars also were against it, but the event of the day later overtook a lot of the things. And Achebe even delivered a speech, I think in one of his dialects, the language also, if I cannot remember correctly. Now, the same thing with the Yoruba tribe also. So a lot of times, when you see what's going on in Ikwerre, where those people actually say they are not Igbo, so you understand where they are. They are in a place where the Igbos were like 120 years ago. The Igbos also rejected unification agenda that was brought upon them, but he later had his way. And this issue of, it was an objective observation from the white people, realizing that this was not actually a distinct tribe, but a variation of each other, which is what is called a dialect. Now, how do language clusters form like a more modern language? Now, it's what we call mutual intelligibility in dialect that makes it a part of a major race. And then what do you mean by mutual intelligibility? If that means this dialect, or in different communities, they understand each other. Although they may not be 100% understandable from each other, but there's this intelligibility between each of them, but just a variation of one to the other. And that's what it was. Yoruba unification took place And then there is a slave trade boy who was covered by the missionary, was to be transported through the Atlantic, and then they recovered the which is called, who is the Ajay Crowder. Ajay was from the Oyo, so that's why you see that the translation actually happened mostly with the Oyo language. That's what he used to do translation. There's this fallacy that it was the Ajay Crowder that translated the Igbo one. How could the guy who didn't understand Igbo do the Igbo translation? No, it was with other interpreters, and I think Dennis, one of the white guys who started it also. And then later on, the Igbos actually, he went through a lot of the processes, and the Igbos himself went through a lot of this transcription to Igbo languages that actually gave us most of these spiritual texts we have today.